I mean, they can't say, okay, no, we're not going to let you have this. I mean, they can always come back and say, well,
That's the problem.
I think it'll be good. Should be.
Yeah, he's getting it. Oh, yeah. Already seen
Tomorrow.
it. Good?
I'm good.
Looks like it's good.
All right. Is this the same camera you used?
Yeah, exactly.
That was a new one then, huh?
No,
No. Okay.
same one I've been using for over a year.
I thought you had a problem with the meat.
With the what?
One night, past one night.
Oh, no, that was, all that did was, it loosened this plastic thing up, and it loosened it up, it pops right off.
Okay, we've reached the happy hour of 7 o'clock. Thank you all for attending. Call this meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance, please. Pledge allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Regular meeting of the Rochester Fire
Fire Protection District, October the 14th, 2020. President Riggs.
Here.
President Riggs is here. Treasurer McBride.
Here.
Treasurer McBride acknowledges here. Secretary Fox is here. Trustee Leonard.
Here.
Trustee Leonard acknowledges here. Trustee Fairchild.
Here.
Trustee Fairchild acknowledges here. Our President of the Council, sir.
Thank you. We have the September 9th minutes before you. We look for any comments and or approval. Do you have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Second?
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes accepted. Treasurer's report, Gary.
The balance sheet, our total assets, $3,491,178.19. Our total liabilities and equity are exactly the same. Income and expenses for last month, our total income was $269,328.30. Total expenses, $11,696.54. For positive cash flow of $257,631.76. Income and expenses year to date, our total income $601,830.34. Total expenses $86,018.96. We have a positive cash flow of $515,811.38.
Questions? Motion to approve the treasurer's report?
I'll make a motion to approve the treasurer's report as read.
Second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Treasurer's report passed. Thank you. Chief's report.
Chief's report for October 14th, 2020. September 9th, we had the annual apparatus pump testing conducted, all units passed. September 15th, myself and firefighter emergency responder Reem attended an IFSI basic auto extrication class in Decatur. September 16th, the district hosted the CPR class for the Rochester Police Department staff here at the station. September 28th, the district conducted extrication and stabilization class utilizing a donated school bus from the Rochester School District. September 28th, myself, Captain Sunderland, and Polly witnessed the new fire alarm and fire system completion testing at Sylvia Daycare and met with the construction crew and system installers. October 5th, the district hosted a mutual aid vehicle extrication and stabilization class utilizing the passenger vehicle and school bus with 5 outside mutual aid departments attending. October 6th, annual hose and ladder testing was conducted. September calls, 38 EMS, 8 fire for a total of 46, 3 training sessions, and 4 special duty.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions?
Yeah, John, are you gonna chew up that bus anymore in the future?
Rochester?
No, I think we're just about done. We did 2 Mondays, so and we got lots of other things in the schedule right now. So.
Okay, well, I was gonna suggest if you were gonna do some more education training on it, you might call Sangamon County Rescue Squad. I think they'd be interested in working with you guys too.
I want to commend the department for their training on the school bus emergency procedures. I think that's some of the most critical, one of the most critical trainings that you can involve with in area departments. And I think it's outstanding that the comments that's going around the community, even the children going by every day going to school, seeing that bus kind of wakes them up a little bit too. So I want to congratulate everybody. Well done.
Okay, motion to approve the chief's report?
I'll make a motion to accept the chief's report.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, chief. Old business, Mr. Fairchild, tell us about the Friars.
Well, they're still in Berry Firehouse, and we had a pretty good discussion last meeting about so-called liability with selling them. I see we spent $81 with the attorney. That was an unnecessary expenditure, in my opinion. And due to the fact that I'm right in the middle of harvest, and now it's got more complicated to get rid of the Friars, I'd like to table any further discussion about disposing of them, or possibly turn it over to you, Bill, and see what you'd like to do with it.
Thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
Yeah.
I need this caper solved soon. I've been losing sleep over this. You brought this 35-year-old Friars up like it's an emergency, like somebody's doing something that's going to hurt this department. And Marty, the way you did it, it was embarrassment to a former chief, embarrassment to the board, to our department. 35-year-old Friars. My God.
Thanks for
You're
your
talking about
opinion.
liquidating assets.
Thanks for your opinion.
You went into that caper like there needed a state policeman involved.
Well, the
35-year-old
fact that we
Friars.
didn't follow our own policy
Let's move on.
in disposing of district property is a red flag to any responsible trustee, Dennis.
Let's move on.
Now, if you want to carry on this conversation any further, I'd be more than happy to
I'd be
do
happy
so
with
with
you.
you on your time.
Be happy.
Time and place.
You involved that former chief like he was stealing.
The former chief had no claim on those Friars.
Maybe so, Marty, but it was the way you did it. We
The
could
way
have,
I did it was because
Picked up
I
the phone.
found out about it at the last minute.
you could have picked up the phone and just called and said, hey guys, I don't think we should get rid of these Friars.
That's not how we follow the policy.
We're a community. We're brothers and sisters. We have the finest department of any that I know. You don't treat your members like that. You don't treat former members like that.
I brought it to the attention of the board for the board to take action
It's
on
the way you
this.
did it.
If you want to add any more drama to this, that is obviously is a very dramatic thing for you, knock yourself out, buddy.
All right,
Knock yourself out.
I'm interested in hearing what the rest of the board thinks about these 35-year-old Friars. The manufacturers suggested that we consider either selling them, if you could, or donating them to a nonprofit agency. Personally, Marty, I'm not going to take up your offer. I'm not going to spend my time dealing with these two old pieces of junk. I don't think that they're of any value to us. I think we'd really be better to donate them to some organization that could use them.
Well, Bill, that would be your opinion.
That's
I
right.
did get on eBay with a friend of mine, and I found Hobart deep fat fryer that looks a lot like the one up there, and you can buy it right then for $570. So that's obviously the value of the fryer is subject to your own perspective.
Well, we don't know what you saw. We don't know if it's the same age or condition.
It's a dead ringer,
The dead ringer.
so you can make whatever conclusions you want out of that.
Well, I'm not sure what the rest of the board feels like, but I'm not gonna deal with those two old things.
That's Marty's paper. Let him handle it.
All right, give me till I get my harvest out of the way, and I'll deal with them this winter. How's that? You want to table it till then, Dennis?
You got something?
Yes, I believe really, at this point, we were wanting to, the firefighters were wanting to get their training facility taken care of there at Berry. The Friars were in the way. They're 35 years old. What Marty saw on eBay may very well be $500 for a current Friar. I highly doubt that it is for a 35-year-old Friar. I would say that we need to dispose of them. They are of no value to us. It's taking more time and effort and so forth to deal with these things. It's really a real boondoggle. Chief Poffenberger said that he had paid for one of them. I'm going to take him on his honor. He said that he would dispose of them. I say let him dispose of them.
I think we resolved it, so let's just let Marty handle it.
I have a motion on the table, on the floor, that I take on responsibility of disposing of the Friars sometime this winter.
Okay. Second?
I just let that point. The point I was making is this could have been resolved by a phone call. Just say, hey guys, maybe we should look at this again instead of making it such a big issue.
Is there a second for Marty's motion? I'll make the second. With the stipulation that we put a timeline on it, did you just name a month whereby they would all be gone?
About November.
You be done? Be ready to do it by November?
I think I can make it happen in November.
If they're not gone by the end of November, we dispose of them?
Fair enough.
Okay. Full board, please.
There's no action on the agenda for that.
Excuse me, sir.
There's nothing on the agenda for that.
There is a item on there called Old Cooking Fryers.
It doesn't say for any action. It says review status. It doesn't say review status and take action.
Well, I think since it's listed on here, it gives us the latitude to take action or just understand where they are. We've been playing this game long enough.
Yeah, we'll keep playing it. Go on.
President Briggs,
Yes.
Treasurer McBride,
Yes.
Secretary Fox, no. Trustee Leonard,
Yes.
Trustee Fairchild.
Yes.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is the Open Meeting Act follow-up. Board members all have this paperwork. This is to officially read this into our minutes. On May 18th, the Attorney General's office received a request for review alleging that the Board of Trustees for Rochester Fire Protection District violated the Open Meetings Act at our May 13th regular meeting, being that it was not reasonably accessible to the public. This goes back to May. This last week, we received follow-up from the Attorney General's office that says the Public Access Bureau has determined that the Rochester Fire Protection District Board of Trustees did not violate the requirements of the OMA in connection with its May 13th meeting. That's it. This wasn't for discussion, it's a matter of reading it into our records. The case is over with. Next item on the old business agenda, the policy review status. We had a request asking about when our policies were going to be brought up to date. I can tell you that since our last meeting, I have become involved in this, and we've changed some personnel that are involved in looking at the review of minutes. The chief and I met, and we talked about some firefighters are doing some of it, board members are doing other parts of it. Unfortunately, I cannot provide a timeline as to when will be done. Policy manual is rather large, and we're seemingly getting a number of outside distractions that are taking away from our time. We are working on a policy manual revision to the best of our ability at this time. New business, approval and authorization of purchases. We need a motion to approve the invoices for the month.
I'll make a motion to approve the invoices for the month.
Second?
Second.
Motion by trustee McBride, second by trustee Leonard. Poll the board.
President Briggs,
Yes.
Treasurer McBride,
Yes.
Secretary Fox, yes. Trustee Leonard,
Yes.
Trustee Fairchild.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay, folks, we're going to go to public comment. I'll have something to say about that in just a second. Since there are so many people here, I'm going to ask the board to make a motion to set aside the 20-minute time limit that we normally follow for public comments. So I have someone make that motion.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Approve? No? No one against? Okay. All right. Public comment, for the purposes of recording this, we're going to ask people, I will recognize you when you raise your hand. I'll ask you to come up to the microphone here, state your name so it's recorded, so we know who it was later on. And then you'll be able to go ahead and make your comments, okay? I had a request from Captain Pauly. Kurt Pauly.
My name is Kurt Crawley. To the Rochester Fire Protection District Board members, we, the members of the Rochester Fire Protection District, would like to publicly announce to Chief Archer and to the board our full support of Chief John Archer. This department has made great strides under Chief Archer's leadership. We are proud of who we are, what we do, and how we serve this community. Chief, we all stand behind you. And it is signed the dedicated members of the Rochester Fire Protection District.
Thank you. And Nick Trader.
Nick Trader, August 31, 2020. This letter was prepared for the last month's board meeting, but members were unable to attend due to a prior 911 call. Rochester Fire Protection District board members. We, the below signed members of the Rochester Fire Protection District, would like to express our concerns with how a certain RFPD board member has conducted himself for the past year. The command staff of RFPD have worked hard the last several years, along with the members, to make this department one of the most premier departments in Sangamon County. Morale is high, membership is strong, and we never miss a call. But yet we always feel that there is someone trying to pull us down in the opposite direction. A certain member of the board has decided to take a revengeful type of attitude towards this department and is having a detrimental effect on its members. Board meetings have turned into a spectacle with a very unprofessional atmosphere. There is shouting, arguing, evil stares, and derogatory comments by a board member and public that should not be tolerated, either inside or outside of our station. The below example outlines some of our most recent concerns. It was decided to host the May board meeting via the online video platform called Zoom. All members of the department and the public were told that the building would not be open for the meeting. When this board member and his spouse decided to go against this request, the police were asked to escort this spouse out of the building. It is our understanding that the individual believed that she was being escorted out because of a positive COVID case within the department. At a follow-up meeting, this individual who was escorted out of the building said she had made a FOIA request to the Illinois Department of Public Health. and they indicated no record of any member of the department ever having COVID-19. Obviously, though, we didn't. But the real question is, why is the board member and his spouse contacting public health? Are they calling the RFPD officers and its members liars? This department has taken and continues to take all proper precautions regarding COVID-19. We are following policies and procedures set forth by Memorial Medical Center, IDPH, and the CDC. One such precaution includes having members get tested if they show any signs and symptoms or if they believe they've been exposed. With that being said, the firehouse was on type of lockdown 7 weeks prior to any member testing positive. The decisions were made to not allow any visitors in the facility, host Zoom board meetings, and not even allow in-person training for several weeks in an effort to protect both us as volunteers and members of the public. Instead of reaching out to the chief to see how the individual was doing or if there were any members at risk, this board member and his wife took a completely negative approach to the situation and accused the department of lying. At a meeting earlier this year, this board member proclaimed to the board and all in attendance that a crime has been committed in the department purchasing equipment from AEC Fire and Safety. We were appalled that the potential conflict was even presented using the term crime. After contacting our lawyer, it was determined that RFPD should only be purchasing up to a certain amount of equipment and services from AEC due to the potential conflict of interest. However, it was also determined that none of the prior purchases were ever made in a malicious manner. The board made the decision to cease all purchasing from AEC, and we all thought that this could be the end of it and we could move on. Unfortunately, this was not the case, as multiple members of the department and the board were called to Illinois State Police headquarters to be interviewed in reference to purchases made over the past 7 years. Not only did this once again tear down the morale of this department, but some members had to take their own personal time off work, thereby impacting their livelihoods. All of this over a simple oversight that could and should have been handled in-house. For the last several months, we have had at least one member of a watchdog group from another county at our board meetings. This group has made several public accusations against our department. One of their main complaints was that there were discrepancies in the department's policy manual. Section 1.1 of the current and far outdated manual states that this manual was written by the board and the board is responsible for all updates. Since this has now been brought to light by both the watchdog group and the members of this department, perhaps certain board members should take and concentrate on making these much needed updates rather than putting all of their efforts into making continuous allegations of wrongdoing. This watchdog group also made an allegation to the Attorney General's office with one of our members purchasing a device to interfere with their audio signal during the recording of RFPD board meetings. As opposed to standing up for and defending the members of this department, a certain board member is seen assisting the watchdog group bringing in equipment from the car before and after the meeting. We do appreciate that some members of the board took a stance against these allegations and defended the hardworking volunteers of this department, but we wish that it would have came from all 5 members. At the August meeting, the department members were once again attacked by a certain board member for returning what we were told was private property back to the former chief of RFPD. There is no known documentation about the purchase or acquisition of this property. Once again, despite a certain board member's belief, getting rid of this equipment was not done maliciously. The equipment in question, which had not been used in the last 10 years and possibly even closer to 20 years, was removed from the Berry Station in an effort to provide more space for members to train while wearing SCBAs. This matter and all questions could have been handled and answered with a simple phone call to the chief. But this board member is not interested in handling things in a simple manner or without drama. A board member recently asked us why more members of this department do not attend board meetings. Besides the fact that all of the members are volunteers, work full-time jobs, and have families, many of us are tired of the negativity presented at these meetings. We feel that a certain board member is more concerned about politics and getting revenge for things that happened before any of us were even on this department and trying to find ways to tear this department down rather than help and find ways to make this department better. Every single member of the board should be helping us. The members who respond to emergencies at all times of the day and night continue to make this department one of the most premier agencies in Central Illinois. A member of the board seems to have a lot of complaints but never wants to be part of the solution. Maybe it is time to ask yourself, how can I better this department rather than destroy it in all of its dedicated volunteers? Sincerely, the dedicated members of the Rochester Fire Protection District.
Next. Yes, sir.
My name is Brian Gilly. I have a statement I'd like to read as well. Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to comment. From an early age, I've always dreamed of being a firefighter. Growing up in Rochester allowed me to observe countless apparatus responding down Route 29's deadly two-lane and various sporting events I was able to participate in. I never thought I'd be qualified enough or have expertise required to achieve a seat on one of those races. I held such high regard for the individuals giving up their time and energy responding to that call of need. Obviously, some of you trustees know that sacrifice, and I am thankful to have the opportunity to stand on your shoulders, the shoulders that molded the department, both good and bad, to where it is today. I stand before you tonight to speak out regarding persistent negativity that I have observed month after month occurring during these meetings. When I initially joined the department, several board members, in fact, reached out to me and spoke about the experience of joining and even asked my thoughts about multitudes of topics. We spoke of motivations, needs, and even recruitment tactics to encourage others to take this leap of commitment to something bigger. I was very encouraged that these individuals cared about growing the ranks and actively engaging in the discussion of my thoughts. It was refreshing to see leaders take an active role in seeking out even the newest member of the department to gather input. This made quite a first impression and was my first introduction to the fire board. I had not had an opportunity to attend board meetings, more out of ignorance of the board's function than any other reason. All of this changed when I was given an opportunity to assist members in proofing SOP/SOG revisions. In an attempt to further understand board function, I studied policy and procedure manual as written and attended my first meeting. I admit I had misconceptions of the administrative functioning of the board, but appreciated the behind-the-scenes decisions that occurred here seamlessly, in my naive opinion, so members could function day to day. However, in attending many of these meetings, I have grown increasingly frustrated by what feels like a disconnect between the positive direction of growing this high-performing ALS department and roadblocks placed by a certain trustee to undermine it and derail the growth. I've watched these barriers create unnecessary demands and excessive work for our command staff, all to appease the whim of a minority, all while costing the department additional money and creating a spectacle. This has been done under the guise of identifying injustices or to point out supposed improprieties. These are half-truths. They spread controversy, and all were started without providing a larger picture. I ask you, what benefit has been gained to this individual for calling these out? What challenges have been overcome by creating these spectacles? Increased costs to the department, increased man hours taken away from readiness and training, a feeling of accomplishment for the individual doing the constant requesting. Is it a sense of relevance or authority they seek? I feel that even penning this letter is feeding into the individual division and those spurring him on. I am unfortunately wasting additional board time and adding to the problem, but I feel compelled to speak out. I am the first to call out inconsistencies and streamline processes whenever it presents itself, but feel the way it has occurred lately has been increasingly negative, petty, and downright hostile. Without offering positive change or common sense, common ground solutions, I believe the individual is motivated by a deep-seated drive focused solely on voicing perceived problems and negativity while surrounding himself with individuals that feed in his problematic approach. I personally am a solution-driven individual and would prefer to hear alternatives or voice reasonings to why topics warrants further discussion. Instead, his approach appears to be constantly seek out controversy and invite individuals here to incite disagreement. And it's my understanding some of these individuals appearing in the past haven't even been in the fire district we are serving. Furthermore, even as responses or explanations are offered and thoroughly presented, they often fall on deaf ears, as it wasn't about hearing the solution, only about presenting dead-end remarks. This inability to accept logic or explore solutions offends me on a very personal level. I view this behavior as an attempt to undermine the hard work and true, dedicated, determined effort that the membership deserves. Yet it seems to continue month after month and has moved me to stand. I have repeatedly asked by this trustee's spouse, in fact, my name and what role I serve here more than a half a dozen times, to which I asked myself, what authority does she even have in repeatedly posing the question? Further, if it truly mattered to her, she would have noted it the first several times she asked me, possibly even spent time studying the membership as a whole, as if she was that concerned in the makeup of this small group. I also seriously question when this individual spouse speaks during public comment, she seems to possess certain knowledge of items that should be held as privileged information. This is in regard to the expectations of both individual members' privacy and also confidential internal affairs for which she seems to have thorough knowledge. I regard her, in fact, as a third party and should not be privileged to the same information that is available to the trustee, but that doesn't seem to be on the list of his complaints at this time. I also question why the individual that attends, quote, both Rochester and Illinois policy and procedure statutes has never brought this fact up. Moreover, the way individuals have escalated concerns and complaints above even the board is in complete disregard to the written policies specifically addressing the handling of complaints and suggestions from constituents. That he picks and chooses which policy they would like to complain about, instead of the trustee taking the initiative to rework and rewrite the policies. I believe the time spent sidebarring meetings on matters easily resolved with simple questions and answers is often unnecessary. The circle of discussion often results in less than practical progress being made. Many matters truly did not affect the daily readiness or support the membership needs and served only to disrupt and create controversy. More importantly, the lack of the individual's acceptance of explanations and difference of opinions only serves to create a divisive environment. I have not heard this member ask questions about the overall well-being of the members, especially with the multitude of tragic, sometimes once-in-a-career calls that we have experienced on a relative naive group. I get that this is part of the commitment and affects everyone differently, but that's what I would expect from someone that has our back, as they have previously stated. I have never heard them reach out during a meeting about how the membership feels its current equipment is faring, or in terms of what is needed to be better operational or better trained. I have felt silence to speak up and often ask myself what the individual hopes to gain by constantly using his position to address a list of at times relevant, but frequently petty discord. Not only is this department better equipped, but also one of the best trained volunteer departments in Sangamon County, if not the state. This has been evident in all the courses and classes I've been privileged to take over the last 3 or 4 years. I constantly seek out what others in these classes are doing and how often they're doing them. The amount of time and attention to detail spent in training that we complete yearly rivals that of some career departments. This has been spearheaded by both our captains and constantly focused by our chief, a chief that persistently challenges us to create realistic and thorough trainings in terms of approaches and outcomes. Even our home EMS agency praised our process and initiative upon learning that we were still conducting live Zoom meetings to maintain a sense of normalcy, despite COVID shutting everything else down. We were one of the only departments in the state innovating and adapting to a strange new world. This was important as we were able to navigate the daily changes occurring around us in a safe yet unfamiliar atmosphere. This challenge was spearheaded by Chief. Chief Archer has provided opportunities for us to see and utilize new equipment, both demonstrative and department use roles. This is not about profit. This is about providing our department and members with the ability to replace products, sometimes same day, or purchase on our own products that we would never have been exposed to otherwise at a cost cheaper than even Amazon can offer. How is this not keeping it local? How is it not buying local and providing the Village of Rochester with service unmatched? This trustee ending something that benefited Rochester more than it is about calling out abuse. And yet this has been his sole focus, simply directing his energies on a personal agenda. Where is the focus on members? Where is the concern regarding recognizing that this department has been so well managed, trained, and ready for what Rochester expects. Every single one of us is dedicated to learning, growing, and serving the residents here during their time of need, both in expertise and financial stewardship. So tonight I ask this trustee provide testament of what the membership can do to make this department what he sees in his vision, expand on any prejudice or air out what agenda he may be carrying, and speak to his true goals of becoming a trustee. I also ask that as a past member, he offer perspective and positive ideas, as well as role model behavior that allows the next generation to grow and learn and further this prestigious department. We are all here to provide an exemplary service to the community, a community that trusts us to show up on what feels like the worst day of their lives, and doing so with courteous service, empathy, and passion, all while providing unsurpassed care. I am fully focused on that and want to state that I fully support John, not only as our chief of this department, but more importantly on a personal level. I am truly blessed life allowed me to join at this time, after this trustee's time as a member had ended. For this group I serve with has proven they are learner-focused, problem-solving, and demonstrate positive approaches which move the department forward call after call. Thank you very much for your attention tonight. I sincerely submit this letter. I do apologize for the shaking. I have been up all of 20 hours.
Thank you, Ryan. Next. Yes, sir.
My name is Greg Walter. I'm a member of the Rochester Fire Department. I've been coming to these board meetings for several years now, and I've quietly watched as Trustee Fairchild routinely looks for ways to cause problems. In the beginning, it was somewhat comical to see what he would come up with, but it has escalated over this past year to a level that is concerning. His behavior has been completely unprofessional and even childish. He has wasted the time of other board members as well as members of this fire department. He has caused unnecessary delays on purchases and even delayed things as simple as the approval of meeting minutes. While he has gone to extremes to make himself look like a hero for the taxpayers, I have been here for it all and know the truth. He is doing a great disservice to this community and seems to be determined on destroying a great fire department. And with the latest news story, which was orchestrated by him with false information, he has resorted to personally attacking Chief Archer, his character, and livelihood. This behavior needs to stop. We need board members who work to make the department better instead of tearing it down.
Thank you, Greg. Next. Yes, sir.
My name is Kirk Allen. I'm going to read some prepared statements. Be happy to answer any questions because it is clear that there's a lot of misinformation that's being shared. One comment that was just made was that the information that was published in the news had false information, and I challenge anybody to present what was false. My hat's off to everybody that volunteers. I've been in fire service over 30 years. I know what it means to be on that end of the deal. I also been in the military for a career. I also know what that flag represents, and I know what the last three words says, justice for all. And that has meaning, and it's a pledge that we take. And while we may disagree on a lot of different things, justice for all means something. And Mr. Riggs, part of this is going to be directed to you because of the communications that we've obtained. Many years ago, I asked our state's attorney what constitutes a criminal act by a public official. The response was extremely helpful. He said he would consider it a criminal act if the official was informed what they were doing was wrong and they continued to do it.
As it relates to you, Mr. Riggs, you, sir, knew doing business with AEC Fire Equipment had certain limitations under the law. You told the attorney in an email, and I quote, "John is half owner of AEC Fire Safety, so we'll need to be very careful with purchasing." It's an accurate statement. Your attorney informed you, and I quote, "You are correct. Great care will have to be taken to avoid violation of Section 4 of the Fire Protection District Act. Trust that everyone is aware that John's company will effectively be precluded from doing any business with the district. The exceptions to this rule are extremely limited, and great care must be taken not to violate the prohibition. If there are any questions, let me know." That was the first warning. Second warning, a few months later, that included notification exceeding that threshold of $2,000 a year or $1,000 in any one order was a felony. So you can't say you didn't know it was an oversight. You were warned twice. After being warned, full steam ahead, 14 grand in 2018, 53 grand in 2019, another 5,300 in 2020. Since being a member of the department, the chief's invoiced you for $120,521.94. That reflects violating the state law every single year he's been here. That's not an oversight when your attorneys told you that it was wrong. I urge you folks to listen to this.
We have a call, sir.
All right, great. God bless you.
I didn't know I did call.
My question for you, Mr. Riggs, is why was the entire board not informed of the legal opinion provided in May of 2018? Or the November 2019 communications? That didn't get shared with everybody, did it, sir? No comment. The third warning was in March of 2020. While some have made assumptions as to why we're here, we showed up because of what we read and heard all over social media about a truck being purchased without going out to bid. And I'll briefly get into that. Mr. Riggs, being selected by the board to be the president does not give you the power to keep other members in the dark. You knew the business being done with AEC was in violation of the law, and even if you claim otherwise, you should be prosecuted along with the chief because you knew what you were doing with the felony. You've not followed your own policy, and I appreciate your correcting that because they're definitely outdated and there's things that aren't being followed. It was claimed during one of our first meetings, we're using the Joint Purchasing Act allows you to buy the fire truck through an outside agency. Yet the Joint Purchasing Act specifically states, and I'll quote, "Any government unit," I'll pause until we get out, that's all right? Purchasing Act specifically states any government unit, except a government unit subject to the jurisdiction of the chief procurement officer established in section 10-20, which the fire district is not, may purchase personal property, supplies, and services jointly with one or more other government units. That's how the Joint Purchasing Act works. What other government unit did you make a joint purchase with on the fire district? There was none. You didn't follow your own bidding policies, you didn't follow the state law policies. While I don't know what your state attorney may or may not do in this situation, when the state police are done with their investigation, we will publish their findings. I'm confident their findings will find exactly what we found.
Mr. Fairchild, a lot of this has been focused at you tonight. As a local government accountability watchdog group, we go nationwide. We're just not here in Edgar County, even though that was our founding name. We go all over the country, all over this state, doing what we do. And we challenge you to disprove what we say. If you can disprove it, then you've proven us wrong. We welcome that opportunity. You, sir, raised this issue and were chastised in a meeting, I believe by you, saying that now you raised the issue. Well, I understand he raised the issue when he was hired and was told it's not an issue, it's not a concern. But you, sir, had communications through your attorney that told you it was a concern. You acknowledged it was a concern, yet you let it continue. That is a disservice to the taxpayers. That's not this guy's fault. That's your fault. You let it happen. You were a party to it. And this isn't Mr. Archer's first rodeo. $210,000 with Pawnee in the time he was there. He knows the laws. He knows what they're about. He knows when bidding is required. This isn't new. And he may be the greatest chief in the world when it comes to operations and doing what he needs to do. I'm not here to question that. I'm here to question what this board has allowed to happen to taxpayer money in violation of the law. And when you stand here and take an oath and say justice for all, so far I haven't seen any of that justice for all. I've seen an attack on one and a complete defiance of the law. That's all I have. Thank you.
Yeah.
My name is John Fireball. I'm a resident here in Saginaw County and in the Rochester Fire Protection District. I don't appreciate bitch dogs coming in out of the heat, looking for something and accusing these people up here. If you want to make a comment, make a comment.
I did, sir.
You don't have to accuse these people standing on this board when they're trying to do their job. You stood up here for 15 minutes screaming and yelling and accusing these people of doing things wrong.
Have you read the communications?
Yes,
Okay.
part of them.
Okay, the attorneys told them, and I'm pointing it out.
But this is a comment section. You're standing up here accusing Bill Riggs of doing stuff that's illegal and stuff. If you got a problem with that, you go to the state's attorney.
No, so that's not
You
how
don't
it works.
stand up here and accuse the fire board members.
That's not how it works. No, it's not. It would be
All
great
right,
discussion. It would be great
This
for
is not
everybody to know.
discussion. This is not discussion. You have a chance.
Thank you. Anyway, the community has your back. I suggest that the fire board find the hiccup in the setup that you've had, fix it, do what you was elected to do, and get the members where they have trust in you again. You're going to lose valuable paramedics, firefighters, with all this drama that goes on every freaking month. There's something that goes on up here. It shouldn't be this way. Don't go behind each other's back. Do your job. And like I say, find the hiccup and eliminate it. Thank you.
Well, one thing I mentioned when
Your
you,
name, please?
John Crabb,
Thank you.
prior to voting on an issue, I raised an objection saying it wasn't on the agenda for a vote. Well, if you look at the agenda, it's clear which items are there for a vote. Approval and authorization of purchases. That tells me you're going to vote on it. Policy review status, that doesn't say to vote.
Review status of old cooking fryers, that doesn't say it's a vote. Review and approve minutes, oh, there's another vote. What I'm trying to get at is everything you do has to comply with whatever this being the Open Meetings Act and this. There's nothing in the fire district code that says, well, you know, if the public thinks the chief can save the public money by purchasing everything from his company, go ahead and do that. That's not what it says. It doesn't say buy local either. It doesn't say buy from the local business. And I believe, and I'll reiterate what Kirk said, if you knew and you had 2 letters from an attorney telling you it was wrong and it was criminal, you participated in a criminal act. That's all I have to say.
Is everybody else done?
Well, now we raise your hand. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Riggs. Everybody, thanks for coming. I'm going to be in trouble with my mom for doing this because my name's Brian Fairchild, Marty's brother. And she told me, don't rise to the bait. And I said, okay, but this is ridiculous. Martin, you and Gary started off on the rescue squad 75 together because the Boy Scouts, Bob Rearbush, and the Scout leaders wanted the kids to have something good to do, examples for the community. You were there, Gary. You stood up and did that. Marty, you were there. Was anybody else involved in that?
What's your name?
It was all about helping people. Okay? And it's what Marty is always about. Helping people, but doing it in the right manner. And he has been abused by this department over the years in several cases. There's one case where there was a sexual assault by a member on another member in a vehicle, witnessed by a third member. Marty wouldn't let it stand. He said, that's not right. And it didn't turn out very well. I'm not going to go any farther than that. Later on, this same individual who was the sexual assaulter attacked Marty in the bank. Well, nobody was around. Marty said something to the board. Nothing. Can't do what we can't do. There's no witnesses. So Marty resigned. If you walk into a burning building with somebody that had tried to knock you down, would you feel safe? He didn't. He resigned as a captain. And then he thought that there should be more accountability. And so he spearheaded a referendum to make all these members here elected officials, not appointed by county officials, elected, responsible to the people. And it passed. And he won one of those seats. And now he's been on the board ever since. And I think he's done a fine job. He loves the people in this fire department. He does not hate firefighters. He was one. He is one. He knows what it means to be one. He's got passion for it. And to have him besmirched is outrageous. Thank you.
Thank you, Greg. Yes, sir.
One more jab.
Good evening. My name is Louis Andrade. I'm a Rochester resident. I've heard a lot of emotional arguments. However, nobody here really knows me, and I don't really know anybody here. I have really no dog in this fight. The only reason why I came is because I read the article, and I'm a good government person. What seems to be happening is you guys are getting accused of very, very serious things, felonies. You know, I haven't heard anybody refuting these. I've heard that the fire district is excellent. I don't doubt that. You know, the people who are here from the fire district who are volunteers, they're all excellent. I don't think anybody's doubting that. And I'm not here to try to bring anything down. I'm here because there are some serious allegations, and I haven't really heard anybody disputing these serious allegations, and you know, it definitely is a little bit concerning to me. I think that's all that I really wanted to say. Again, I think this is really, really serious, and hopefully nothing improper was done. And if something improper was done, then there should be, as he said, justice. And at the very, very bare minimum, I think the optics of this look really, really bad for Rochester, no doubt about it. And again, if a crime was done, then a crime was done. But hopefully that there's more information that comes out that refutes that. I had not heard that tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, sir.
My name is Perry Walter. I would like to thank the board and the fire department for being of service to my family personally not that long ago. Excellent job, very scary situation, handled top-notch, resolved with the best outcome that could come from a fire. That said, I think someone is misrepresenting these joint purchasing acts. I made many purchases during my time with the state of Illinois, and while we had those to use, it did not mean that I had to couple with anybody else to buy off of that procurement list. Those were negotiated deals set in stone, and if you needed something on that list and that company was on the list, it was an approved purchase. I did not have to get 3 bids or anything like that. That being said, I have not read the fire procurement procedures because I never bought fire equipment. So I do know that I didn't have to buy off of an approved list if I had 3 bids and could show that the quality was the same or better and the price was lower. So there's a lot of people throwing things around that they say are stated in fact, when in fact there is none of that as black and white, all on its own accord. Everything has to be looked at in its entirety. So if you have a joint purchase agreement, it means that they made the agreement and anybody that falls under that umbrella can purchase off of that agreement. It doesn't mean they have to go get a buddy to go with them to purchase something. That's not what it's about. That would be a complete waste of everybody's time to negotiate such a thing. So I don't feel that you have done anything terribly wrong. You get a letter from an attorney that says, we need to be careful about this. Read it, understand it, and be careful about it. If you're saving the district money by purchasing from the chief or anyone, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. But not at the cost of getting an inferior product that's going to risk a firefighter or a taxpayer who they're coming to serve. So with that said, I would just like everybody here or that's going to see any of this, understand that just because one person states something about a purchase agreement doesn't mean that that is the end of the facts. So guys, keep doing what you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes.
I'm Karen Ritterbush, and I just want to say it's great to see so many people here. There's usually only 3 or 4. So keep coming, keep finding out what's going on in the department. That's the only way you're going to know, and you can make your own opinions. So that's what I'd like to say.
Thank you. Anybody else?
I'd like to make a comment, Bill. And I'm going to address the Edgar County group. On these invoices, I'd like for you just to check. There's a $40,889 invoice on 2019, and our staff were only able to locate a $408.89 invoice. I think there might be an error on that one, if you would check.
It was the invoices we got from you guys. Your attorneys provided them to us.
Okay, I just want to make sure there wasn't a data entry.
You bet.
Okay, that's all I'm asking. I think there's need for watchdog groups. I understand that. And I'm not saying, you know, obviously it appears that we've done something incorrect, and we should, you know, it's been corrected. When I was acting president, you know, I stopped the purchases from ABC. But the way you're handling it, Mr. Kraft came in here, Mr. Allen, you weren't here that night, and he insinuated or he implied that our staff were interfering with this recording stuff. And we're a small town department. We don't do those things.
Can I comment to that?
Sure, absolutely.
And I do appreciate the dialogue. It's very important to have, that way everything gets out. And I don't know, I wasn't at that meeting, I don't know what he said, but what I do know, it wasn't a member per se, it was a person that the 2 times he showed up, and he's not a member, I have to confirm that, but the 2 times he showed up, the second time he ran his mouth in the parking lot and got overheard, and we were told he's got a jamming device. But it's not a member of this department. And he's not here tonight, he wasn't here in the last meeting. So that's where maybe there was a misunderstanding. Again, I don't know what he said, but it wasn't a member, and I'll clarify that. It was someone who was here supporting the members.
I just
bragged about it.
You know, Mr. Allen, I know you're from, you know, department. You know your guys wouldn't be, I would hope, you know, they wouldn't do anything like that.
I have no doubt.
But he was very rude about it. I just wanted to point that out. Okay. Next, you know, I hope the community comes forward and looks at this. I hope we have some strong candidates that come out, you know, and want to be on the board. I really do. This is the finest department you'll find anywhere. And the way that, you know, Marty, he's been signing off or checking off on those ABC invoices long before I was even on the board. Several of us were on the board. And each time he's checking off on those ABC invoices. And then he wants to make it look like all of a sudden he gets mad and he wants to go behind and create. I'm glad, you know, if we're doing something in error, I'm glad. I welcome it. But the way it was done, you know, when he's been signing off on it, he could have just said, gentlemen, we're doing something incorrectly. He's the support that he has shown. You saw all the members tonight. He's been embarrassed so many times. April of 2017, you know, we had an unfortunate accident with a fire truck. So we borrowed it from Warrensburg. And in the meeting, multiple people present, on recording, he says, that's Uncle Item. That is an embarrassment. We have no room for racism on this board. We don't deserve this. This community is better than that. And that's just a pattern of stuff that he creates. That's all I got to say.
Okay. Speaking on behalf of myself and my wife, citizens of Rochester, I'd like to offer our support to John Archer as the chief for several reasons. John's done an excellent job of managing the fire department. We're attracting new members, which is not a common situation for volunteer departments right now. We provide excellent training. You've seen that. We pulled up and saw the bus outside with the car. We had 5 other departments here to be part of that training. Assuring residents of rapid responses to all emergencies. You heard one of the firefighters say, we don't ever miss a call. If you were listening to other radio frequencies, you hear departments in our county calling out the second and third time trying to get a response. We don't have that problem right now. John has been key in developing improved relationships with the village staff and village departments. Before John became chief, the village would charge us to drive a snowplow around the station here once or twice. Now they're appalled that that would be a charge, and they do it free and with assistance anytime we ask them. Allegations about my hiding information or covering up things. Rochester has been purchasing from AEC for about 40 years. When John became chief, nothing changed in our procedures, which is probably wrong by the technicality of the law. You heard that pointed out. We were being careful. We thought we were not changing anything we did. We were getting good quality. We were getting best prices, outstanding service. The fire engine that we got from Warrenburg for free because John made the contact. Their chief gave us the fire engine to use for free. All we've done is try to do a good job with this department and try to watch out for the money and our budgeting. And we found out that there was a problem. It pointed out in March, and as Dennis said, we immediately stopped purchasing from AEC, which is really unfortunate. It's a local business, and I'm sure the law doesn't say you should buy local. Maybe it should. That said, I'm going to close this part of the meeting down. Thank you all for attending. And our next regular meeting will be November 11th, Veterans Day, at this station at 7 p.m. Looking for a motion for adjournment.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.